So welcome everyone to the Shelter Animal Reiki Association Free Wednesday calls, where Jamie and I host and we answer questions and we talk about a certain topic. And today's topic is about the subtle signs of acceptance from animals. And so before we get into the subtle signs of acceptance for, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I have to take a minute and welcome William. So for those of you who don't know, William is the co-founder of Compassion Consortium. It's a really wonderful Sunday service that talks about, kind of the human animal bond and having compassion. And he is married to Victoria Moran, a very famous vegan, who also is starting her podcast back up. Main Street Vegan. It starts on September 14th. So if you are interested in veganism, or if you are a vegan and want to learn more, she is a wonderful, wonderful spokesperson. Hey, it's so great to see you. There's Reverend William. So he's recovering. So this is wonderful that he's here. I'm so glad you made it. And great. And so we're going to talk about the subtle signs of acceptance of not only just animal Reiki, but when we go to sit with an animal, when we go to just share love and compassion with an animal, what does that look like when they accept that? Well, first we have to talk about humans, right? So humans, what do we do when we accept each other? We smile, we hug. I'm sorry, I'm just interrupted here. So Ruth says, Reverend William, Kathy, and I are both here from chaplaincy. So yay, we've got a lot of people representing the animal chaplaincy in the house. So that's wonderful. And maybe William can talk a little bit about that at the end of the call, because it's a really wonderful program. So we talk about people. Hey, Eddie, thanks for coming on camera. We talk about people accepting things. We smile, we hug, we give strong indications, oh, I like you, right? Because as humans, we're very dull when it comes to energy. So we have to be kind of front and center. We have to be, hey, I really like you. Otherwise, I mean, how many times have all of us been there where we're like, I don't really know if that person liked me, because maybe they weren't as exuberant as you expected them to be. Or, yes, Julia, we do have a recording, so no worries at all. And yeah, if you have to leave early, no problem. This is a very casual setting. Come and go. If you have to come late, that's totally fine too. All of these are recorded. So thanks so much for asking that, Julia. So we had
and thank you again. I didn't know about Reverend William Melton. Hello. So I'm very excited to find out more about that and his wife. So
yeah, no,
so
definitely.
much.
We will, at the end of the call, we'll definitely dedicate some time to that, because he has a really wonderful program, the Animal Chaplaincy. Hey, Susan, so glad to see
I
you.
love it. That sounds
And
great. I'll check it out.
yeah, please do. So when we talk about humans and how we accept things, we're really talking about, like, we're very obvious, right? We're very, very obvious. And if someone's not obvious, then we can get our feelings hurt. But animals are the exact opposite, because they don't need that exuberance. They don't need those really big signs. Like, of course, domesticated dogs and cats, even sometimes horses, they're more exuberant about things, right? You come home from work, your dog is like, and we kind of get used to that. We kind of think, okay, if an animal really likes me, they're going to act like that. Or you're out on a walk and you see a dog and the dog acts super happy to see you. And you think, okay, that's how animals should act. But that's really not, that's an unfair judgment. Hey, Gabby, I didn't see that you joined. It's an unfair judgment, because some animals, like wild animals, they might be really happy to see you or really welcoming your presence, but their signs are going to be much more subtle. Like, let's say you're out in your garden and you're sitting there and you're peaceful, and maybe some birds come down and they get closer to you than they normally would. That is a sign of acceptance. That is a sign of, I see you, I want to be with you. And even if they only stay a moment, that's still a very subtle sign. But if we're in our head and we think, well, I should be like Snow White, the bird should be on my shoulder. If the bird really liked me, there would be much more acceptance, but that's really not the reality of it. The reality of it, it's going to be a lot more subtle. Or if you meet a stray dog, let's say, And this happened to me one time. It was really interesting. I saw it was 110 in Portland in the morning. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. It was 110 degrees. And I was going to a doctor's appointment and I saw this great big dog. He was a mix, but he was huge. He was like Newfoundland and maybe Saint Bernard. Had a huge heavy coat and it was hot. And I thought he was a stray. He had like a little piece of rope around his neck. And so I got out of the car and I started to tell him right away, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to take you. It's okay. And I walked kind of close to him, but it's like, and I could tell he was okay with me. I could tell there was acceptance of my presence, but not acceptance of me if I'm going to do something to him, right? He didn't want me touching him, but he was okay. And so I was just talking to him and I was saying, I just wanted to make sure you're okay. It's really hot. Need to make sure you have water. And I had a water bottle. And then he started to look at me and he started to walk away, but he kept looking at me. He'd stop and look at me like, come follow me. So followed him and we got to the edge of the street and he watched both sides for traffic. And then he crossed the street and stopped and looked at me and there was a homeless camp. And he was telling me, it's okay. There's a homeless. Now I'm not an animal communicator, so I had to just do this all subtle signs, right? I just had to really tune into him and say, what is he trying to say to me? Because I know that he's open to me, but he's not necessarily open to me touching him or grabbing him or taking him and going, oh my gosh, you're a stray. And maybe he was used to that. So when we're talking about animals, and that's just like I wasn't doing a meditation. I wasn't sitting down for animal Reiki, but it's a really good example of how we have to really listen with our entire body, our mind, our heart, every part of us when it comes to animals. It's not going to be a very clear, hey, I like you. This is great. Thank you so much for this every single time. It's going to be a lot more subtle. And I know Miranda, you're with street dogs sometimes. And so I'd like to open it up to you in just a second. I'm going to open it up to you so you can talk about that because I know that you have to deal with that too. And there's subtle signs of acceptance. So another way animals that I want to share that show acceptance, like at the shelter. So let's say you go in with a shelter dog that is very stressed out and jumping around, and you start to meditate and you're bringing calm to your body, and you're, 20, 15, whatever minutes into it, and the animal still isn't really calming down. And so you think, oh, wow, they're not accepting this at all. But if you stop and get out of your head and really think, okay, when I first came in here, the dog was bouncing off the walls. But now, after 15 minutes of me just standing here, he's not jumping on me anymore. And the bouncing is a little less. Still bouncing, still barking, but maybe a little less. That's a sign of acceptance. It's not a sign like, oh my gosh, it's a big yes, yes, I'm going to lay down, I'm going to pass out. Because one, the dog didn't know me. Two, the dog's in a very chaotic environment. Three, the dog is still trying to figure out, okay, what's she doing? What's she offering? Oh, it feels good, but I'm really not quite sure. There's a testing of it. So we have to be really patient with animals and look for those little teeny subtle signs that there is definitely something going on. I was thinking about this topic and I was cracking up because I had a squeak in the back of my SUV in the back hatch. And when I would drive, it was driving me crazy. It was squeak, 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 squeak. And I thought it was like when you go up and down, when you lift the hatch up and down. So I put WD-40 and dry lubricant and all this stuff. And, still there was that damn squeak in the back. Well, my friend figured it out. It was this little thing that was hitting. So no big deal. But what I didn't notice was that in the process of trying to fix that squeak, I actually made the hatch go up and down smoother because it's, electric. So it does it automatically. But I wasn't even paying attention to that because I was so obsessed with this squeak. I didn't realize that something else in the process had been fixed. And it's kind of like that when we go with animals. It's the same thing. Like we might sit with an animal like a shelter dog and the dog is bouncing around. But then he starts to slowly come down and we're not paying attention to that. We're like, oh yeah, I was in with him and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. The dog just kept bouncing around. We didn't see the subtle signs that he actually did maybe just for a second stop and kind of stare and then go, okay, now I'm going to bounce back again. Or maybe the dog just kind of started slowing down and the movement started to become less and calmer. Those are just really subtle signs that there is acceptance. And Jimmy, I know I've been talking for a while and I'd love to pass it to you for a minute and hear your thoughts. And then we're going to open it up because I know that the conversation is going to create more discussion about this.
Absolutely. It's a great topic. I think I learned the most from Bella, because she would go after another dog in the pack. She'd go after Sophie. And I mean, I am now where I can look at her and it might just be her gaze. It could be that she tips her head a little bit. I know when she's about to do something she shouldn't, because I've just learned her energy and how she presents herself. And it's so subtle, absolutely so subtle. And so, she taught me that they're speaking all the time. And really, when you learn to watch for those signs, sometimes, she's licking the air, tasting the air. But when you learn to watch for those subtle signs, not only do I know when she's about to, get into trouble, I also know when the animals are accepting.
Yeah.
And so, because it's so subtle many times.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're humans, we're not used to paying attention to the little teeny tiny details. We're used to those more obvious signs, like I was saying, like, oh, I love you. Oh, hey. And how many times, and we've all been there, like I said, oh, I don't think that person liked me, or, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And if someone doesn't say I love you 10 times, you feel like, oh, well, they're falling out of love with me because they're not all over me. We're really needy as humans. So we have to get out of our own way and start going, okay, this isn't just about me. I can really be here in this space and I can start to observe. And that's really what this practice brings to us. It's that mindfulness component where we can be with the animals, where we can start being fully present and looking for signs. So Miranda is in Aruba and she volunteers with street dogs. And I would love for Miranda to talk a little bit and share your experience, Miranda.
Yes, thank you. Well, since April, I'm doing the Let Animals Lead Reiki. Now I almost finished level 2.
Oh, you know what,
I
Miranda,
started to do it because I noticed that a lot of dogs.
You're breaking up just a
Yes.
little. So maybe turn off your camera and see if that helps. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, maybe the Wi-Fi is a little bit bad
Yes,
today.
that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So I started to do the Let Animals Lead because I noticed that a lot of dogs here are scared and afraid of people. And in April, I started at the sanctuary. And since April, I'm working with 2 dogs. And the first time they had so much stress, they were really barking, and I really saw how scared they are. But after the second treatment, I went in a cage and sit down. And after the second treatment, I already saw that they were more relaxed.
Yeah.
So the signs were, for me, it was really fast that they showed acceptance. And now I'm working for 4 months with them, and the transformation, wow, it is really great to see.
Oh,
It's really great.
that's so wonderful. But so now what happened during the first session? Did they accept during the first session at all?
Well, like what I noticed is that the first session is a little bit shorter. That's my experience. So they accept it, but not quite really, because I think they need to get familiar with my energy, with the Reiki. And then the second session, I noticed that they accept it more. And then, yes, I see that they are more relaxed. Their breathing is a little bit slow. They lay down. They started to sleep a little bit, not so much because they were really scared. Yes, that's what I saw.
I love that. Thank you so much, Miranda. And I love that all of those points that you brought up, just like maybe starting to sleep, slowing down. And again, some animals, the first time you go in with them, boom, the first session, boom, they're open to it. They're ready for it. But like Miranda was sharing with the two dogs, sometimes they're a little leery. They're not sure. Are you the person that feeds me? Are you the person that walks me? Are you the person that cares for me? Oh, you're the person that's just going to meditate. I don't know what that is. And so they need that kind of time to check it out. But I'm glad though that you kept going, because some people, they get frustrated by it. They were like, oh, nothing happened. So I guess that I'm not strong enough. My energy isn't strong enough. And I'm here to tell you, your energy is always strong enough. In fact, your energy is probably sometimes too much because we're too like, oh, we're anxious. And that anxious energy is really kind of, you know, big to animals. We feel like it's right here, you know, oh, we can feel it. We don't think anyone else can, but animals can feel our energy. You remember, stress is contagious, but so is peace. Yes, William, I thought you unmuted yourself. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I thought I would just share something. So Victoria and I, can you hear me?
Yeah, do you have can you turn up the sound just a little?
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay, great.
I'm such a technical person.
It's
Okay.
so good to see you.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, so Victoria and I adopted a new companion, Rupert, and it was over 6 months ago. And the reason I'm sharing this with is because Rupert, we adopted Rupert from a hoarding situation. And he had, for 8 years, lived with 95 dogs in a hoarding situation. And then whatever relevant authority finally brought all the 95 dogs and put them in homes and spread them all over the country. So we had Rupert, and what is maybe relevant is that he was scared to death. I mean, he was just totally scared of everything, and including us. And so, boy, it was a long path, and it took about 6 months. But then he just kept getting a little more comfortable and a little more comfortable, and he would go outside finally. And you know, so it's. I guess what I'm saying is that, or what I'm sharing is that, yes, it is just it can be a really long pill. Uh, I, I'm sorry, but I had a stroke, and so I have trouble with my words. So sometimes they don't make very much sense. But
Doing
what,
fine.
what I was trying to say is that it was a long road, and Rupert finally got to where I would say to him, "Wow, you're just almost a real dog now." And so, and then the last thing I'll share you with is that 3 days ago he became ill. We had to take him to the uh, the real veterinarian.
Uh-huh.
And so it turned out that he has cancer of the spleen. And so today he had his spleen removed. And now he's going through this thing where he has to, for 2 weeks, we will find out whether it was benign or whether it was cancerous. We won't know for 2 weeks. And so I'm just sharing this in case. Oh, you can just say a prayer for if you would share a prayer with Rupert. So he will get better, and he will be back, and you'll see him sometime in the future.
Absolutely. In fact, at the end of this, William, we're going to be doing a meditation, a really beautiful one that we did last week that we're going to build on today. And so absolutely. And I love how you were saying, you know, this is a really good example. Rupert's a great example. We have to let go of our expectations of what healing looks like, or being cured looks like, or being well looks like. Because for Rupert, he has deep set trauma. He has fears. And for him, his baseline of acceptance may be way, way higher. Like it takes more to get there than the average dog. But when we can look at Rupert and like, William is obviously very close to Rupert and he can see these subtle things that where Rupert's getting better. It's like you said, it's been
Yes,
months, right? Right,
yes.
William? Because he's actually probably changed a lot when you look back from A to B now, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's changed so much. And I think it's been about 6 months. And it's just so different. And he's so more comfortable and he's so more relaxed. And it's just really, really different. And that's what I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, and I love that too because sometimes we get frustrated. We hear this a lot. Like Reiki, animal Reiki's it goes to wherever it's needed, right? The animal's going to heal however that looks. And I love how William has patience with Rupert that he knows, we have to understand if you came from a situation like a hoarding situation and you were one of 95 in a very small situation, it would take a lot for you to start getting used to the world at large. And it would take, I mean, years probably, if ever, for you to really trust. Like here, when we look at Rupert, and if we could step back and look at his progress, we go, wow, that's really amazing. He's come so far from this hoarding situation. And again, subtle signs, right? Like it wasn't like he went, oh, okay, boom, I'm clear. It's just little bitty steps. And that's really what we have to have. We have to have patience and we have to let go of our attachment to what we think healing looks like. So thank you so much, Reverend William.
Oh, and just what
Yes,
one
please.
more
Yes.
one little thing to add. Rupert just showed up and he's in my room and he is wearing the cone of shame.
Oh. Well, we love you, Rupert, and we're going to be dedicating our meditation to you later on. So thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
So good to see you. So Shirley, yes, you have your hand raised. Love to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I just want to say I'm so I'm so honored and privileged to be a part of this group. It just, the stories just make me just bawl my eyes out. And secondly, for the gentleman that had the stroke, if you'll call me, I've had a light stroke too, and I'll tell you what I did to get my memory back, where I could, carry on a decent conversation with somebody. And then the third thing, who wants to help me get a book going on shelter shock? That's my term, shelter shock.
Yeah.
How to get these dogs. Kathleen, hello. I mean, specifically for shelter dogs that are coming out of all this crap, and I've got 12 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of them have been kicked, beat, abused, starved. There's very seldom do I get one in that's not abused. So that's the reason we're rescue, rehab, and sanctuary. So, yeah. So
Thank you so much, Shirley. I appreciate
I love y'all.
that.
I love
you
y'all, guys.
too. Thank you so much. Liza, you have your hand up.
See if we do without video today. Am I sounding okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Video. So I have two things. Just real quick on what you were all just talking about on how long it takes sometimes, and we need to just let them do it in their own time. My dog that you guys see the least of, because she's very independent and she likes to be outside a lot. Her name's Mila, but she's the first of the three that I have now that I got. And when I first got her, she would not roll on her back. I couldn't touch her belly. She was just really freaked out. She lived in a crate. They didn't feed her. She sat in her own urine and feces. The first month after she got rescued from the rescue I got her from, they put 9 pounds on her in 1 month, and I put another 9 pounds on her in the next month. That's how emaciated she was. But now here we are. I got her at the end of 2017, and we've been probably at least a year, if not maybe a little longer. She will totally roll on her back now and just let me rub her belly. It is so awesome, but she really just had to do it in her own time.
Yeah, and that patience, right, Liza?
Yeah. Yes, I just had to let it go, let it be that however she was going to be.
Well, because
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No. Go right ahead. Finish your thought
No,
there.
because I'm going to start another story, and I
Oh,
just want
okay.
one more little
Well,
story.
what I was going to say is we really have to let go of that human, this is how it should look. This is what perfection looks like. This is what the perfect dog looks like. This is what, because just like humans, every being, every animal being is unique and their own person, and they process things their own way, just like we as an individual process things. And so patience is really key here, but also just looking for those subtle signs, right, Liza? I'm sure as you first got Mila, there were little signs that she was accepting. Like now when you look at her, you're like, oh yeah, she rolls on her back and everything, but it took a while to get that. And it's finding joy and celebration in the small things. So if you can turn your mindset around, and when, like, let's say, for Mila, she's scared of people, but when she finally comes up and sniffs, I remember Monica shared this story about Heart last week, and Heart came up to her and sniffed her hand after being so scared of humans. That is a huge celebration. Now, you don't want to start celebrating in front of the animal, but later on, you want to celebrate that and say, oh my gosh, that's huge progress. So Priscilla said to you, Liza, that's exactly how my rescue Lola was when I brought her home. And after some time, the day I watched her roll around on her back showed me that she was happy to be here and accepting to be here. She was finally feeling comfortable. And you get that a lot with rescues. I have rescues, and it takes them a while to acclimate, to know, is this my forever home? To trust, is this my forever home? So we have to have infinite patience and love for these animals. So
Hey,
Liza,
y'all.
I really just want to let Liza finish. She's got one more thing to say.
Yeah, the first thing that I wanted to share when I knew we were going to talk about this topic. So years ago, I was at Bright Haven for a level 3 class. And this is about like what you were talking about in the beginning, Leah, about really, being in that space and tapping into your intuition and just really paying attention. So it was time to go off and meditate with the animals and just pick who you wanted to meditate with. Well, a few times I had walked into the dining room and there was 2 goldfish in this little tank. And I'm like, how am I going to connect with fish? But I really wanted to try it. I'm like, how am I going to know if they're accepting or not? I mean, I can't, they're not going to come up to me, right? I mean, I guess they could come up to the tank, the edge of the tank. But anyway, so I sat probably 3 to 5 feet away on this stool and I just sat in meditation and I just really tuned in. And it was about really feeling with them. And I felt pure joy, and they were swimming together. And I still use that for myself today. If I'm needing to tap into that for myself, like I really need some joy today, I remember those goldfish and I tap into it because I just was connected with them and in that place with them. I was being Reiki with those 2 little goldfish, and it was amazing.
I love that so
Thank you.
much, because thank you so much for sharing that, Liza. That's a really great example of, here are 2 little fish. Yeah, like you said, like how do you connect with goldfish, or maybe like a spider or an insect, but they're beings too. And when we can let go of this, like these walls, right, these boundaries, oh, it has to look like this, it has to be like this, we can just be open. We open ourselves up to these incredible experiences, because the animals connect with us even when we don't feel it. And before I get to Gabby and Eddie, I just want to say, like, I've shared this story before about the crocodiles or the alligators at the zoo, and how when I was World Animal Reiki Day and I was with a couple ladies and we were meditating, one of them, one of the alligators was at the bottom of the tank. We could see him, and then one was hiding. And the woman, when we were sitting there meditating, it looked like the alligators were just ignoring us, right? There was no connection. They weren't moving. They weren't doing anything. But when one of the ladies asked me how big I thought the alligator in front of us was, I said, well, I think about 6 feet, but I don't know. Without seeing him, full out, I can't tell. And as soon as I said that, the little crocodile, and I have a picture of it, just slowly but stood up. Here's his little head up here, goes up to the top of the water, sits there for a minute. I go, yeah, he's like 6 feet. And then he slowly started to come down. He was connected to us and to me and to what we were being and sharing, but you wouldn't know it, right? Because how can you tell an alligator is accepting? I go to care and they have alligators and crocodiles. It's very hard to say unless they come out and they kind of lay in front of you. You don't know. But once that little alligator did that, his friend came around the corner and he stood up and it was like, I'm too. So, we have to be open to the fact that one, our energy is very strong and the animals are going to connect with us, or they're going to at least feel us, right? And two, that when we're quiet and we're open to that without judgment, without attachment, without expectation, then things are happening. We just might not be able to feel it. So thank you so much for that, Liza. I love the gold story. And I hope that everyone can kind of give fish that extra love too. So Gabby, and then we'll get to you, Eddie.
Hello. So one of my students, she asked me, she overheard that I give Reiki, and she told me that her son has a big boxer dog who is very, very scared. Her name is Big Girl, and she is really a big girl. And if I could work with her, and she suggested that I would come over to her house with her daughter. And she said, you probably won't see her. She probably will be hiding. She is totally scared. And so we arranged a date, and the daughter came in with the dog, and the dog took a look at me. And then the mother and the daughter and the dog sat down on the couch, and the dog was like across me, and I just sat there. And big dog, and she just stared at me. She stared at me for half an hour. She never moved, she never hid. So that is a subtle sign that she was curious, that she wanted to accept. In between, she would growl a little bit, a very, very low growl. And I would always say, it's okay, it's okay. I wasn't quite sure if she was releasing energy with a growl or if she was just like, this is really weird, but I'm too curious. I need to stay here. And after maybe 20 minutes or so, her head was getting a little heavy. And then she kind of got up again and stared at me again, and I would close my eyes. And so that's how the session went. But I think it was subtle, but she stayed there. I mean, the woman was just absolutely amazed. And if I may ask one question, the sad line or story to it is that the son is not in favor of Reiki. So the mom came and said, it's really, really was wonderful. And Big Girl did not run away. And it was really great. And I would like to pay for it. And he was like, I don't want it. So then the woman asked me, can you do it distant? And so I have the question, maybe you can help me. I cannot really do it distant if the owner, if the dad is
Well, we
against.
talked about this. We actually had a call about this.
Okay.
So if we think about animal agency, whether or not to choose, it's really up to Big Girl, right? It's not up to him because he is blocking something that could help her or not help her, right? And as humans, we do that. Oh, I know what's best for you. This is why Western Reiki sometimes doesn't work as well as the let animals lead method. And no judgment against Western Reiki. Western Reiki was how Kathleen started. She did that for 6 years. Human Reiki adapted for animals, but not every, oh, look at little Rupert, how cute is he? So not every animal would accept. But with the let animals lead, we're not forcing anything. I'm beaming energy, I'm putting hands on, there's nothing. We're creating a space, and in that space, that's where healing can happen if the animal wants that, if the animal is accepting of that. So I think for you, if you and the woman, say, okay, yes, we will. It's okay if he doesn't want it. It's okay if he doesn't believe it, but we don't really want him to prevent Baby Girl, because obviously Baby Girl, and I love the story about her because even the growling, if you think about it, if she's starting to relax and isn't used to that, she could have scared herself and said, oh wait, hey, don't take this as a sign that you can come close, right? We don't know why. Or she could have been releasing the energy, like you said. Who knows what's happening? But I love the way that you just respected that and said it's okay. And distant treatments are actually better for dogs with aggression or dogs who are nervous when they see strangers, because they can choose on their own whether or not to accept. And most of the time, I've never had a distance session never accept, because there is a lot more freedom. Especially, you know, we always start our sessions, I'm here to hold space, and you can take as much or as little or none at all. It's completely up to you whether you connect. And when we say that to animals, they say, what? Wait, I never get choice. Okay. Okay, I have choice. All right, well, we'll try it and see. So I love that, Gabby. And yes, I do think that you should offer, because it's really up to baby girl at the end of the day. She has agency. And we talked about that, and I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, Jamie and I, about, you know, that very conundrum. What do you do when people say no, but the animal clearly says yes? Will you listen to the animal? Because the people are, because of their own fear, because of their own misunderstandings, because of their own, you know, walls and boundaries that they have that come from fear or anger or whatever that is, they want to prevent something. But really, energy is energy. And so we're all independent beings. You can't force something on me unless I allow it. And same with baby girl. You can't, you know, the mom, the grandmother of baby girl could pay for all these, and baby girl might say no, you know, and that's okay. It's really just our perception of what this is. And I yes, I encourage you to do that, because she obviously took it and accepted it. But did you have anything else to add to that, Gabby?
Oh, thank you. That was really helpful. I was like going back and forth with it, and
It's a
so
hard one.
yeah, that was.
Because
Oh,
you,
and the very end, after the session was over, she yawned. So I mean, I knew sure that she took it, and I was thinking, yeah, well, for the well-being of the animal, I ought to do it, and then yeah. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And I think that that's where we have to, as humans, like for human Reiki, we can say no. We can say, no, I don't want that. Animals, that's why we give them choice. You can connect or not connect, so that they can say no. But if we ask their person says no, that's not giving the animal agency. That's actually taking away their agency. That's actually not respecting the animal. And you know, this boy, this man, he's coming from a good place. He loves his dog, obviously, very much. He's just also coming from a place of fear. And so if the grandmother is fine with that, I mean, I've done that with horses and other animals. I see them and I think, oh, you know, I don't need to ask the person. I'll just ask the animal. And if they're open to it, great. And if they're not, that's okay too. Because, you know, sometimes I'll be sitting down and an animal will be there and I'll say, oh, you know, I'm gonna hold space, and they'll, yeah, you know, maybe not. And that's okay. But it's really what we have to watch for ourselves in these situations is, am I attached to that connection? Am I attached to the animal saying yes to me? And that's our issue, right? That's where we get into the ethics of it. Am I trying to force something on this animal that the animal doesn't want? And I know you're not, Gabby. The animal obviously showed acceptance. So now I know you, because you've been doing this for years. You'll sit, you create a space, invite her in. And if she wants to come, great. And if not, that's great too, without expectation. So thank you so much, Gabby. That is a wonderful question, because that comes up and it bears repeating. And so we're going to get to Eddie next.
Hi, yes, I have a question for Lisa, or anyone who wants to answer it. What kind of meditation did you use for the fish? Was that like luminous breathing or something different?
Oh, that's a good question, Eddie. And I'm going to let Liza answer that, and then we're going to talk about that. I'm so glad you're here, because you're going to get to see how we meditate. So yes, and Dawn is giving you, that's a good question. So this is why we open these up, because great questions come out of that and great discussion. So go ahead, Liza, and tell Eddie what you did.
Hi, Eddie. Thanks for the question. So are you familiar? Oh, sorry, the dryer buzzer went off and that freaks Scarlett out. Have you been practicing Animal Reiki? Are you familiar with Animal Reiki?
No, I'm just starting with it. I just finished all the 4 levels of Reiki.
Oh, good.
Reiki.
Awesome.
Japanese. But
Yeah.
I'm for animals that I know, and I've used it for my fish. But I just want to know which one is more effective, especially for the fish, because you mentioned it, fish.
Right. So I practice Joshin Kokyo Ho, which is also, what do we call it? I'm still calling it that, but Bridge of Life, right? We call it
Breath of life.
Breath of Life. Yeah. What we usually do at the end of this, right? Oftentimes.
Yeah, we'll
Breath
do
of
it.
life, yeah.
So are you familiar with that meditation?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. That's the one. That's what I use most of the time when I'm connecting with animals, because, you know, that's breathing out, you know.
More expensive. And
Yep. Exactly.
okay, great. Thank you.
Because Eddie, what it comes down to is this, is that, and then we'll get to you, Mary Lynn, and then we'll get to Dawn. What it comes down to is that the meditations are for you. They're not for the animals, they're for you. So whatever helps you to get into a space where you have no anger, no worry, no judgment, no attachment, where you feel humble, joyful, peaceful, then that is the energy that the animals are connecting to. So for us, it's like, you know, you would think, because we have so many different meditations, oh, you should use this meditation for this animal, this meditation for that animal. That's not how the Let Animals Lead method works. The meditations are for us to go inward and to let go of anything that we're holding on to. And when we do the meditation at the end today, we're doing Joshin Kokyo Ho, but we're going to have a little bit of a twist. And it's all about grounding ourselves, expanding our heart, and letting go of all of our worries and our attachments, so that we're like just this beautiful tree, right? We're strong. We offer shade, we offer comfort, but we're not attaching to anything. We're not like forcing our energy on the fish, or like trying to go, okay, I'm doing this meditation for you, fish. Now you need to calm down, right? It's more, once our energy calms, their energy calms. And so it's a mirroring effect. So if you get calm, they get calm. So when we're talking about all these different things about going to animals, like what Gabby was saying, you know, here's a dog, doesn't like people, is a little bit aggressive, but yet in that space, Gabby's just working on bringing herself into balance. She's not worried about the dog or what the dog's doing. And that energy is so calm and loving and peaceful. And that's how animals connect. They connect with energy. They don't connect by going, hey, you need to do this and I need to do this. Da, da, da. It's just energy. Energy makes it, oh, this energy's good. I feel safe. This energy's bad. I feel, you know, like I'm in danger. So for you, Eddie, I just really encourage you, when you're doing your meditations, focus on this, focus on you, focus on how you feel. And when you go to the fish, you sit with the fish. I dedicate this to you. And if you'd like to join me, great. And if not, no worries. And then you just go into your meditation. And then look for the subtle signs from fish. Maybe you might start to feel a little lighter, a little more joyful. Look to see if maybe they slow down and just kind of pause in front of you. They're your fish. You know your fish. So you'll be able to see those little subtle signs. But I really hope that you'll stay with us and come back and share with us how this works for you, because this is very exciting. What we share, Eddie, is nothing magical. I mean, everybody wants to come to Animal Reiki and learn like these great skills and techniques, and then you go out and you heal all these animals. But the reality is we are just cultivating love and joy and peace within us. And that's
correct.
And that's
question,
what the
please.
responding to, right?
Question, please.
Wait, just one sec, Shirley. So does that help, Eddie?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. And that's why we always say here, it doesn't matter what the question is, it always creates a really great conversation. Yes, Shirley.
Okay, I need some help, y'all.
Well, wait, just one sec, Shirley. Just one sec, Shirley. I thought you had a comment. I need to get to Mary Lynn and Dawn before I get to you, because they had their hands.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay, later.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mary Lynn.
Okay, my question comes from an experience that I had just starting Saturday through Monday. And my neighbor has 5 kittens that she is fostering. And so my first day with them, they were, accepting of me. They were fine with me in the room, but they were running around and all, being kittens and such. And toward the end, just for a little bit, some of them settled in and fell asleep. Second day, pretty much the same thing, although they settled down and were more curious about me, coming over to my feet and grabbing on and doing little licks and bites, and settled down a little sooner. Monday. And this is my question, because I felt there was a turning point. I only walked in the room and I was there less than 5 minutes. And I spoke to them and all, and they immediately settled down. They immediately found their little cozy spots and just chilled. And I'm sitting there in my meditation and I'm sensing they had a knowing about what I represented or what I was there for. I really felt that so strongly, an acceptance, and oh my God, I was bursting with joy. I couldn't even, it was great.
I love that so much for you, because we have to remember a few things here. So when we first do this with the animals, they don't know what we're doing. Kind of like what Gabby was experiencing. The dog's like, I'm not sure. But then you see these little subtle signs of acceptance, the yawn, the kind of like the hanging of the head. But like at the shelter, the second time you go in, maybe they're not quite as rambunctious, like they were nibbling at your toes, right? And then they settle down. The third time, it's more immediate, because they know, oh, she's the peaceful lady. She brings peace, right? She's not here to walk me. She's not here to feed me. She's not here to train me. She's not here to examine me. She's here to create this beautiful space that I love. And I can but that's why we always recommend 4 sessions in a row, whether it's in person or if you're doing it distant, because it builds on itself. And even when I would teach at the shelter, like we would go in and do 10 minutes, like level 1, level 1 students don't know how to meditate. You don't want to do it for too long. So it'd be 10 minutes and the animals would be rambunctious. And then we'd go in for the second session, 10 minutes. They'd be a little less. The third session, a little less. By the fourth session, and these are only 10-minute sessions throughout the day, but the fourth one, boom, they're out, right? Because it's building on themselves. They're getting used to you. They're getting used to your energy, and they know what you're there to do. But I just want to say for a minute before we get to you, John, just, these subtle signs are going to be the yawns, the laying down, even with horses. And this we get all the time, is that horses will be eating, right? And you're sitting there and you're offering Reiki. And Beth, you're here, and I know you've experienced that. And I'm not sure if I said hi to you yet, but so Beth volunteers at an animal rescue or a farm rescue. And the horses will be eating, but what happens is they kind of slow down their eating. Maybe they start to hang their head a little bit and they're eating. Maybe they'll, just stand up and just kind of stop for a minute. Those are signs that they're enjoying that energy and your presence. So it doesn't have to be this big, come over to you, lick you, stick their head in your chest, anything like that. There's all kinds of different ways that animals accept us and say, oh, I like this energy, but they're not huge signs. They're not like, right in your face, licking you or on you or anything like that. So Dawn, I'd love to get to you because we're coming on time, and I want to give some time for William to share.
And I didn't so much have a question as I wanted to make a comment, and that's because I've been working with animals with Reiki for 20 years, and I've had the opportunity to work professionally at 2 zoos. And the really subtle sign for many of those animals is a relaxation of the shoulders, even before the head. is if you watch the shoulders, or you can direct what you're doing to the shoulders, if they relax the shoulders, often the whole rest of the body relaxes. And so that ended up being a key point for me to learn if I'm working with the brachial chakra, the shoulder chakra, and kind of envisioning the energy being hovering over that area. I find if I relax that, the rest of the animal relaxes and is more accepting. And what finally got me out of my head was a friend. Don't be afraid to learn from people doing completely different things, because a friend who is a hospital chaplain taught me an exercise called compassionate presence. And I found that I can use it when I'm emotionally overloaded. But I also found that working with shelter animals, but especially with the farm animals and zoo animals, doing that where I'm just asking to be an instrument of peace and healing, and helping myself to emotionally balance first as I work with them. I found that because I'm going in and not, I'm just inviting them into that space with me, that it's been really effective.
I love what you said about Dawn, that, well, thank you so much, because that's a really great tip, the relaxation of the shoulders, because that is huge. I've done a tiger before. I've shared space with a tiger before who was so uptight, and as soon as like he just kind of relaxed his shoulders and he stuck out his tongue. So I mean, I knew because he stuck out his tongue, but that shoulder relaxation is great. But I also love what you said, how we have to look at ourselves first, right? So even in the practice of Reiki, Asui said that you cannot heal anyone unless you've healed yourself. So we have to make sure that we are in a good space mentally and spiritually before we go in with these animals, because it's the only fair thing to do, especially if they're caged. If Dawn goes in there and she's got all these issues and she goes and sits with a caged tiger and he doesn't have any space to move away from her or get away from that, that's not giving the animal agency, and that's not allowing them to choose or lead. So I love, Dawn, that you said that really we have to be mindful about our own emotional state, our energy. Are we in a place of joy and happiness? Remember, do you, like, if you had two friends coming to visit you, do you want the friend to come sit with you who's happy and joyful and positive? Or do you want the friend who comes to sit with you and is like, okay, I'm going to meditate with you. This is very serious. We're going to do this. And they're like this, right? But they still mean well, but their energy's like, what do you want? Hey, I love you. I'm happy. You know, which one would you like? And animals are the same. They want to be happy. They show us all the time. They act silly. They want to be happy. And so it's really on us to come into them, sit with them, and have that beautiful energy. So Shirley, we only have a couple minutes before we have to turn it over to William. So really quickly, what was your question? And I'm not sure if Shirley had to go do something. We'll give her just a second, and then I will turn it over to William. Looks like she might have had to go. So go ahead, William. I'd love it. So again, I'm going to let William talk a little bit about this. You have a couple of the people from your animal chaplaincy here, and William was on our Shelter Animal Reiki Association conference in February talking about the chaplaincy. So Reverend William, please share.
Okay, I will share, and I'll try to do it very short. So I'm one of the one of the three co-founders of the Compassion Consortium, and Victoria, it happens to also be my wife, is a co-founder, and then we have Reverend Sarah. And so we are the Compassion Consortium. We are not the vegan consortium, although many of the people who in our group are vegan, but we don't insist on that. And if you were to look at our tenets of agreement, it doesn't talk about being required to be vegan. So I just wanted to point that out. We are the Compassion Consortium, and what we are about is offering compassion and spirituality to living beings. And so that's what we're all about. And we have a Sunday service every month, once a month. And then we also have the ACT, and two of our members here at the ACT. It's the Animal Chaplaincy Training. We just finished our first year. We had about 50 people who went through the program and, became ordained animal chaplains. And we now have a Find an Animal Chaplain website. And we've got like 25 people signed up for that. And what they do is, like me, we offer animal chaplaincy to animals all over the country. And so we're just now starting the second year, and I'm not sure exactly how many have enrolled, but I think it'll be about 50 again. And then this year we're starting a new thing, which is we are starting this year a program for animal rights, spirituality, and religion. And it's going to be a once a month thing, 6 hours each month. And what we basically do is study animal activism, animal rights, spirituality, and all these different religions. I am fascinated by all the different religions. Sometimes it's hard to just keep up with them, but it is very, very fascinating to me as to all these things, where'd they come from? And so anyway, that's what we do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. So in my recap, I'll put some links to Reverend Williams Consortium, Compassion Consortium, and they do. When is the next Sunday service? It's coming up.
The 24th.
Yeah. So, and
24th of September is our next one.
And Victoria, his wife that he mentioned, Victoria Moran, she is a Main Street vegan. She's an author. She's a very famous vegan. In fact, I think it was Vogue magazine that voted her sexiest vegan over a certain age.
That was PETA. She was selected as PETA's sexiest vegan over 50.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
She is sexy.
She is.
It's kind of I don't know. It's just, anyway, that's what it is.
She's a really wonderful woman. I am not vegan, but Victoria has actually been helping me on my journey, and she's so considerate and compassionate and loving, and she gave me some great advice, and I highly recommend her book, Main Street Vegan. But she also has a podcast, and we'll put a link to that in the recap too, coming up.
Thank you.
On
I'll just one little thing I'll say, and that is
that
Victoria and I are vegans, and Sarah's a vegan. But if we insist on everybody be vegans, then we're just not doing anybody good, because nobody's listening to us. And so while we consider our vegans, we don't try to push that on people. In fact, my own 2 children are not vegans. And so it's something that people make decisions about their life. And I just wanted to say that, because as I said, we don't do any good for anybody if all we're doing is criticizing people and trying to make them change their life. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you for saying that, because it goes in hand with what you're saying about being compassionate, right? Living a compassionate life. Living a compassionate life doesn't mean you want everybody to be exactly like you. It means having compassion for everybody, no matter where they are on their journey.
Yes. Thank you for saying it that way. That's perfect.
It's so good to see you, William. So we are going to put everyone on mute, and we're going to do our meditation now. So let's all get really comfortable. And I want to thank all of you so much for the questions. Jamie and I appreciate this so much. It's been a really great group, really wonderful questions, really wonderful conversations. And so just want to acknowledge that this is what makes these groups so interesting. And then we had Reverend William, and you got to hear about his great thing. And I really do encourage you to check out Compassion Consortium. It is really wonderful. They, in fact, have 2 really wonderful speakers coming up on the Sunday that was at the 24th. So we are all going to make sure that we're nice and straight and comfortable, that nothing's blocking our throats here. And we're just going to take a couple cleansing breaths, breathing in deeply through our nose, pulling our breath deep into our belly, and then slowly releasing our breath out our mouth. And just a couple more breaths. really connecting to your belly, expanding your belly. And then with your out breath goes all tension and stress you might be holding on to. Bringing our hands into the prayer pose or into Gasho, we set our intention that we're open to receive whatever it is that we need most at this moment in time. We set our intention that we dedicate this beautiful healing space to all sentient beings. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your hands face up or face down in your lap and just take a couple breaths, breathing into your belly. And then on the out breath, expanding your breath out through every pore of your body into the space around you. And you can see your breath as a light filling your body. And on the out breath, expanding that light outwards. This is just a reminder that you are love, you are light. And I want us to cup our hands and envision that there is a beautiful ball of light in our hands. And I want you to imagine this ball of light is filled with love and joy and peace, just radiating love. And we're going to bring that ball into our belly, into our hara, and hold it there with our hands. And when you bring this ball of light into you, feel the love strengthening you, grounding you at your belly, at your core. Let's breathe into this beautiful light of love. Feel it starts to course down your legs and into your feet and into the earth. And whenever you're ready, bring your hands together again and envision another beautiful globe of light. And see that globe of light filled with love, love and joy and compassion. And bring that globe of light into your heart. And feel that love and light healing your heart, expanding your heart energy. Feel all pain start to disappear. Any heartache you're holding on to is healed. You might feel your heart become more expansive, more open. Feel that light of love filling your entire heart space. And just allow your body to just sink into this feeling of love, love and light. Now we bring our hands together again and we imagine another ball of light filled with love, filled with compassion. And we bring that to our third eye. And we bring that ball of light in and we allow it to heal all of our anger, all of our worries, all of our attachments and judgments. Feel your mind start to open up. Feel all of these negative energies replaced with love and light. Whenever you're ready, bring your hands to your belly and just focus on this beautiful beam of light that you've created within you. It is the light of love and strength, of compassion and wisdom. You are this light. This is the light that the animals connect to, the light of love, the light of joy, the light of peace, the light of compassion. And as you breathe in and out, visualize that light growing stronger and stronger within you, filling every cell of your being. You are this light. And when we shine our light is shined back to us. Whatever we put out is mirrored back. When we shine light to the animals shine light back to us. It is a beautiful energy of giving and receiving. And infinity circle. Allow yourself to release anything that no longer serves you. And bring to mind any animals, people, or situations that could use your light. Envision your light surrounding them, supporting them, comforting them. And we're going to slowly start to bring ourselves back into the room and into our bodies. And although we're closing the meditation, let us set our intention to keep this beautiful energy of light and love within us. Let us carry this through our day and into our night, carry it into tomorrow and into our week, knowing that we can easily tap back into this beautiful space we created together by focusing on our breath and by focusing on love and light. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your hands into the prayer pose, into Gasho, and give thanks to all who joined you, and give thanks to yourself for being here and for being open to this practice. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring yourself back. Thank you so much, everyone. That was beautiful. I'm so grateful. I know Jamie is too, for all of you. Jamie, don't know if you want to say some last closing words.
Just that I always learn so much from everyone. And so it's not just Leah and I doing this, it's all of us. And this is just wonderful that everybody comes and shares. So thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jamie, for saying that, because it's so true. It's like we're not the sage on the stage. This is a community, and we all are here to share and grow together. So thank you so much. Reverend William, it's been such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for coming. And again, encourage you all, Compassion Consortium, you can look it up, but we'll have links in the email as well. So thank you all so much. We will see you all next week. And yeah, we're working on some other special guests too. I'm working on maybe having Taya Strom, who's an animal communicator, because I know that there's a lot of you who are into animal communication. Taya is a beautiful animal communicator. Everything she does is with love and compassion. And she just came out with a new book. So I'm hoping that she will join us in the next few weeks. So thank you all. It was lovely seeing you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.